Hey guys, virtual lawyer here. I'm an attorney and I cover digital asset and crypto legal analysis. This is video number 2, and I'm going to be discussing some stablecoin legislation, the digital dollar, and some breaking SBF FTX updates. Let's jump right in. So previously, I discussed the potential legal implications surrounding this ongoing cryptocurrency case, and I took a deep dive into the SBF FTX scenario and different allegations and positions that may be made. Now, one of the things that I touched upon, that's the premise of this video, is that we absolutely need some common sense legislation. So today's video, we're discussing some of that common sense legislation. Believe it or not, people, we actually do have a bill, a stablecoin bill that was presented and submitted and prepared earlier in this year. Now, this is a bill that has not been passed into law. Keep that in mind. So rewind back to earlier this year, February 15th, 2022, we have Josh Gottheimer, New Jersey's 5th District Representative, announced a Stablecoin Innovation and Protection Act. This is critical new cryptocurrency legislation. Now, this is so relevant to what's going on with SBF and FTX and this catastrophe because we actually have something in the pipeline that could be passed and passed into law by both the Senate and the House through the legislative process with our representatives and the federal government. However, we're still in the part of the process where it's not law, like I stated previously. So a discussion draft was released of this Stablecoin Innovation and Protection Act of 2022. And here's the deal. I think it's actually a really good piece of legislation. It is only 9 pages long, all right? It's a PDF file. I'll link it in the video below. Let me know your comments. Read it. I read it twice. It's super easy to understand. It's 9 pages. It addresses one key particular issue, and it starts the process of building a framework of legislative oversight of this industry. And it's not overly restrictive. All those crypto hardcore DeFi degenerates, don't freak out. It's not like, read it. Actually read it. 9 pages. Anyone can read this and understand it. It's not that intrusive. And I think that's good for the legislators in the House and the Senate to look at this and for something that's digestible, right? We don't need a super complicated bill right now. This is somewhat of an emergency. So hopefully with people like Kevin O'Leary and some other institutional investors, VCs, come into DC and put some pressure on our elected officials to really get the ball rolling with this. Just a few highlights from it that I found were interesting, right? In section 3, page 2, they talk about the insured depository institution under the Federal Deposit Insurance Act, right? FDIC. So they're talking about stablecoin issuers, bank and non-bank issuers being insured under the FDIC. That's a huge step in the right direction, I think. I think we could all agree after what just happened with funds, right? And the FTX exchange. And we talk about section 3, page 3, treatment of qualified stable coins, right? Just giving you some couple quotes here that stuck out to me. A qualified stable coin is not a security or a commodity for purposes of state and federal securities and commodities laws. For my XRP Army folks, you understand why this is important. This immediately, section 3, subpart A, subpart 1 immediately lays out these are not securities, nor are they commodities. This is a classification of their own, this digital asset. And that's important because that means the SEC can't file an enforcement action for an unregistered securities filing if it's a stable coin, right? It's not comprehensive for the whole industry. There's much more crypto and digital assets than just stable coins. However, this is a huge step in the right direction and very positive. And I would love to see this bill be put into law. It goes on to say nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the authority of the SEC or the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, to regulate a cryptocurrency or other privately issued digital financial instrument that is not a qualified stablecoin. So it still gives that Gary Gensler little ego rub there, whatever you want to call it, gives him the authority to still regulate the space, but not these types of classifications of stablecoins, which would be a safe harbor in some sense, and great. You know, we need this. To go on, one more thing in here that I loved. Interesting how they have definitions, right? Usually in the preamble of most bills, there'll be like a series of definitions of terms of how they define it to be used throughout the bill or the law to help readers understand and comprehend the text. So basic stuff, but they put cryptocurrency in here and they defined it. And so here's the definition that they used in this bill. The term cryptocurrency, in quotes, means any digital representation of value which is recorded on a cryptographically secured distributed ledger or any similar technology as specified by the Comptroller of the currency. Interesting. So they're giving regulatory authority over stablecoins, to be transparent and specific here, to the Comptroller of the currency under the OCC. All right, so a few highlights, right? I stated, why is this important? Okay, it's important because we're in a crisis where we need common sense legislation. Here is a 9-page bill that is common sense legislation. This was initially submitted and released February 15, 2022. So this has been sitting around for a minute, which is good, right? We have something we can start with, we can work with. I talked about my previous video, how the wheels of justice move very slow, things move slow in the government. So this gives us a little, even with the speed of this case most likely being faster than normal, this gives us a little extra boost where we could potentially go faster due to the fact that we have a bill presented already. It carves out qualified stablecoins from more volatile cryptocurrencies, meme coins, SHIT coins, if you want to call them that, and putting appropriate protections in place for consumers and investors. Okay, this law will, in my opinion, help lower the risk of instability in the financial market, protect consumers, and support ongoing financial technology innovation in the United States, which is what we need in the US. We need to support the growth of this industry in the United States so that we become a leader and a power player, not get left behind like many people feared, right? So Josh Gottheimer, I apologize if I mispronounce this gentleman's name. Big fan of him already. Never really knew anything about him, but he was the author of this and he pushed this. And so he's out of, Pennsylvania, right? So props there to plug to Pennsylvania for their representative getting ahead of this. Or New Jersey, I apologize. New Jersey. Well, love you too, Pennsylvania, but this is New Jersey's 5th district. Yeah, that was an error. New Jersey. Okay, so let's talk about it some more. The legislation defines qualified stablecoins as a cryptocurrency redeemable on demand on a one-to-one basis for US dollars and issued by one of two qualified issuers, either an insured depository institution, such as a bank, or a non-bank qualified stablecoin issuer, like an exchange or a private company. This classification will help protect against systemic risk, fraud, and illicit financing, okay? It's a one-to-one ratio that has to be proven and backed for this stablecoin. So, as stated, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency has primary oversight, authority over both types of these stablecoin issuers under this piece of legislation, and to help further protect consumers. Also, as previously stated, the FDIC is required to develop a qualified stablecoin insurance fund, is what it's defined as, to manage the insurance of redemption payments for these non-bank issuers of stablecoins. So I'm going to quote Mr. Josh Gottheimer, a quote about his legislation here. And keep in mind, He is a member of the House Financial Services Committee in Congress, which is important because he's a key player in financial services and pushing those types of agendas on the front line. So it's good that we have someone that is part of that committee pushing for this type of bill. He said, I quote, "The expansion of cryptocurrency offers tremendous potential value for our economy. But for cryptocurrency to grow and thrive here in the US instead of overseas, we must provide more direction and certainty to the marketplace to help boost innovation and protect consumers." Could not agree more with that. I don't know what Democrat or Republican really could oppose this. It's very bipartisan. He goes on to say, "That's why I'm releasing the Stablecoin Innovation and Protection Act to encourage crypto innovation in the US, define qualified stablecoins, and protect Americans against bad actors like predatory entities and terrorists. We shouldn't stifle innovation in the crypto market. We should ensure the proper safeguards are in place and ensure our nation is a leading force in fintech." Now, love it. Love it. As I'm sure my other crypto traders, enthusiasts, nerds, investors, hobbyists would agree, okay? Specifically, protecting against bad actors like predatory entities. What just happened with FTX? That is what I would classify as a bad actor. That is a predatory entity and a predatory individual, okay? And then we're going to talk more about SBF, as I stated at the intro of this video. Breaking news about in that case, an FTX case, later on in this video. But this is a step in the right direction to prevent those types of people and institutions from hurting innocent people, and that's important. So I'm gonna go over 4 key provisions that, in summary, of this legislation that I want to get this message across of why common sense, easy to understand, bipartisan, helps everyone win-win. All right, number 1, require all qualified stablecoins to be issued by either a bank or a non-bank qualified stablecoin issuer. Okay, so the non-bank issuer must maintain at least 100% reserve assets consisting of USD, US government issued securities such as US Treasuries, and other assets as deemed appropriate by the OCC. Now, the cash collateral must be held in a segregated FDIC insured account, right? So this is that 1-to-1 ratio to make sure that there's 100% reserve funds for each stablecoin issued. This is a good thing. We want this. So when you redeem it, you get your money you get your digital money back. Number 2, define qualified stablecoins as a cryptocurrency redeemable on demand on a 1-to-1 basis for US dollars and issued by one of the 2 qualified issuers. So this is important. Why? It differentiates a stablecoin not only as just different from basic cryptocurrencies, but it's defined and differentiated as not being a security or a derivative, which is great. We don't want to lump all those together so all these government agencies like the SEC can come in and try to enforce and regulation by enforcement. We don't want that. This prevents that with stablecoins. 3, provide the OCC with primary oversight authority over both types of stablecoin issuers. Okay, I like this because where the OCC is, regulates currencies, and it's making it clear this is not a derivative, this is not a security, and that's why we're going to put the OCC on top of this, all right? And it gives them the legal authority to coordinate with any other necessary agencies, which may be required to issue rulemaking, like they laid out specific agenda items, leverage ratios, auditing requirements, anti-money laundering requirements, KYC compliance, redemption requirements, liability management standards, and interoperability. So the FDIC will be required to develop a qualified stablecoin insurance fund, as stated previously, for those non-bank issuers of the stablecoins. Now, this is clear framework. This is clarity. When people say we need regulatory clarity, what I just stated, those factors, that will provide regulatory clarity. And this is great because it's a 9-page bill and it's not forcing all of that to be addressed right now in this moment. They have a year once this is passed and enacted to lay out those guidelines, which is common sense, right? It's a common sense, pragmatic approach, which we can all appreciate. All right, 4, it does not restrict the issuance of other types of crypto. So you can think what you ever want to think here, but the SEC and the CFTC in this bill are also not restricted from examining non-qualified stablecoins and other crypto as potentially being securities and derivatives. Okay, so we have to have those clear lines of enforcement of who is regulating what, who has authority over what, and what is the definition of what. So I'm glad they're providing something that at least makes sense. We don't like the SEC, but hopefully we can get a chairman in there that actually wants to adhere to protecting retail investors and the public as a public servant, as they're supposed to. And assuming that is true, right, we would want them to do their job, and we'd want to protect American innovation and go over and you could put on the prosecutor hat and be aggressive with bad actors overseas. Same, like linked up with the DOJ, hit it that way, right? Let's protect innovation in the U.S., not drive it away. Okay, so a few quotes. I'll give you 2 quotes that I thought were great commentary from other outside voices upon reading this draft. We got first Tiana Baker Taylor. She is the Chief Policy Officer at the Digital Chamber of Commerce. You might have heard of the Digital Chamber of Commerce. You might not. They stated, the Digital Chamber of Commerce appreciates Rep. Gottheimer's proactive consultation with the industry and looks forward to continued engagement with Mr. Gottheimer as well as with other members on working towards an appropriate regulatory framework that puts in place proper safeguards, preserves innovation, and enables a level playing field for both established stablecoin arrangements and new entrants within this ever-evolving marketplace. Dante Disparte, Circle's Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Global Policy, I'm sure everyone knows about Circle, right? The company Circle, stated, we welcome the leadership from Rep. Gottheimer, who has taken a thoughtful, risk-based approach to stablecoin innovations in the U.S. and how they can fit inside federal regulatory frameworks. Supporting bank and non-bank innovations in the payment system is key to long-range competitiveness and broad optionality for how dollars move in the 21st century. Love it, and I couldn't agree more with both Tiana and Dante. That's why I used both their quotes. I thought they were well articulated, and I agree with their assessment there on the Stablecoin Act. Now, to tie that in right now with where we stand with SBF and breaking news, so that's so important what we just talked about with the Stablecoins Act, because literally today, okay, when I say breaking, this was released today, global banks began partnering with New York Fed for a 12-week digital dollar pilot. That is interesting, right? So February 2022, we have the introduction of this bill for stablecoins, which is a good thing. We just went over that. We have this fast forward to last week, right? We're in the second week of November of 2022, fourth quarter, right? Midway through fourth quarter of 2022. And we have this massive catastrophic collapse, conspiracy theory, all these fraudulent allegations concerning the FTX, right? And how it's the cryptocurrency market's on fire. Everything is fear, uncertainty, doubt. Everyone is scared. We don't know what's going on. And then you see all these big names talking about how we need legislation. We need to do something. We need to see SBF behind bars. We need to regulate this. Okay. Today, global banks partner with the New York Fed for a 12-week digital dollar pilot. All right. So This is a little bit different than the legislation because the legislation was just stable coins, right? USDC is a stable coin, USDT is a stable coin, right? There could be any other new stable coin. The digital dollar is similar to a stable coin, like a central bank digital currency, right? Which the legislation that we just discussed didn't directly talk about CBDCs. We'll discuss that in another video, but it is related because the functionality is similar and akin to a CBDC. I almost look at the stable coins and the CBDCs as competitors in a sense. Some people are terrified of the digital dollar because, I mean, honestly, I am a little bit, rightfully so, because I mean, it tracks everything on everybody. It seems hard not to infringe on privacy with that. But nonetheless, some of the information that's relevant from this breaking news is world banking giants are participating in this brand new endeavor, okay, alongside the New York Federal Reserve, which is a branch of the Federal Reserve. Global banks are partnering with the New York Fed for this 12-week pilot. The New York Fed's Innovation Center spearheaded this program, and it's basically testing how banks use digital dollar tokens. Okay, so additionally, some of the largest banks in the world are participating in this experiment. This is at a time, obviously, when consumer confidence for blockchain transactions is at an all-time low. Interesting timing, and it highlights the fact that there's still a real-world use case for this technology, which that is a good thing, right? I'm glad we're doing this. We have banks like MasterCard, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, just to name a few, that are part of this project. Let's see here. So a statement, which this was first reported, so Reuters first reported on this, okay? And the New York Fed noted specifically, I quote, "The project, which is called the Regulated Liability Network, will be conducted in a test environment and use simulated data," which is good because it gives a very transparent, clear way to evaluate something in an almost scientific method. So you may be asking, why are they doing this? Why does it matter? Good question. Well, they answered it. Specifically, the endeavor these banks and the New York Fed will attempt to quantify the impact of digital dollar tokens, specifically how their presence in a common database can help speed up payments in our economy. So how do the legislators understand this digital dollar? How are people interpreting, like, what's the point of this? They're really only at the baseline level to be talking about how can we speed up payments in the banking system. XRP Army, that's your cue, right? Drop it in the comments. I know you got some thoughts there. So, more on this. This development comes after the head of the New York Fed Reserve, Michelle Neal, spoke on the promise of a digital dollar. And, we are seeing the Fed and some of the world's premier financial institutions work together. So I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. They're working in conjunction, real life application. It's a good thing. Subsequently, Neal saw an opportunity, and quote, in using a central bank digital dollar, a CBDC, to speed up settlement time in currency markets. So that's the part that I find weird timing is we have this huge collapse and now the government comes in, hey, we got a solution to save you. Well, why were you not working on this previously? And why is the timing happening right now after the collapse of FTX where the sentiment is at this point? I just hope that we stick to the principles of civic duty, and the individuals involved with this are part of a clear framework that we help create with the Stablecoin Act, for example, and we tie that together. Now, if we can work in conjunction, we get the Stablecoin Act in place. This working group has great data and results showing there's a clear return on investment, and it solves a huge problem in society, and it helps a lot of people, and it saves millions or if not billions of dollars. And the banking payment processing system, great, that's wonderful. I just hoping that the issuance of any CBDC, not just in the US, is not exploited and used to violate privacy laws, data security laws, and if you are a U.S. citizen, most importantly, constitutional rights. That's a big one for me, as I stated in my first video, and you'll know about me. I'm a big advocate of the U.S. Constitution. Now, before continuing and going on discussing the other breaking news with SBF and FTX debacle, I wanted to say this in the last video, and I want to make sure I say it now. It's important to me, for those that have been impacted, and I know there's been a lot of people impacted. If you're suffering and your mental health is at issue, maybe you lost a lot of money, maybe you lost a little bit of money. If you, for whatever reason, first of all, drop it in the comments. I will reach out to you, DM me, contact me. I will personally talk to you. Never feel like you're alone. The world needs you. You are enough, okay? Hearing that from me. But if you need an extra level of support, the National Suicide Hotline, I'm throwing this out there. They're open 24 hours. They have English and Spanish, depending on your native tongue. Is dial 988 on your phone, and you can talk to someone, right? I know the importance of that. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. And for my veterans out there, I'm a U.S. Army veteran. If you're a vet, you get the same support. Just press 1 after you dial 988, and it's specifically, if you do that, confidential crisis support for veterans and their loved ones. So there's experts, professionals, if you will, who cater to the military population that might be a little bit better equipped to help you. It's not a weakness to talk about mental health, or to take care of your mental health, or to seek help from someone else or community or a professional, right? That's okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there. There's a lot of memes, and my thumbnail's a meme, and make a few jokes here and there. Crypto Twitter's crazy, but like, we're humans at the end of the day, and people got screwed, and I know a lot of people got really screwed. So if you're one of those unfortunate people, you will get beyond this, okay? You will recover. You will, no matter how much money you lost, right? You can make money again. You can always make wealth and create wealth. If you're at the bottom, you've lost everything, you can always create a new life. But if you're dead, you can't create a new you, and your family needs you, your friends need you, and you are enough. Don't forget that, okay? So I'll get off my soapbox on that, but suicide awareness is kind of near and dear to my heart. So the breaking news, let's jump into that. FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, Bankman, right? Couldn't be any more ridiculous on that note. So Mr. SBF, okay? So Mr. SBF allegedly was arrested in the Bahamas, according to some unconfirmed sources. Let's emphasize unconfirmed, okay? So remember in my last video, I stated that the Department of Justice and the Enforcement Division of the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, both do have legal authority. They do have legal authority to prosecute certain bad actors that are operating overseas, specifically under the federal United States law called the Federal Corrupt Practices Act, FCPA, all right? So we know that's a thing, okay, that can happen. And I laid out, the wire fraud and the mens rea potential implications that could go down. So, and the latest scene in this complete fiasco, it involves potential handcuffs, right? Leading into that, this was today, so not too much of a shocker. Apparently, authorities came to SBF's condo in the Albany Marina Towers, which are apparently this like really exclusive luxury high-end location in the Bahamas, to arrest him. Though at this time there is no photo evidence at the time of recording confirming these rumors. There are accounts from several people who live in the building. So police were seen in the lobby interacting with SBF's father, who I believe is an attorney. He's a tax specialist who is putting on the serious defense right now, or strategizing and calculating for his son. So while nothing is confirmed, there's just more and more commentary swirling all over crypto Twitter. And it seems that as this continues to unfold, more and more witnesses are emerging to verify the story. So an earlier rumor was that SBF's plane was halted on the tarmac in the Bahamas. That was unconfirmed, and now it seems false. So keep that in mind, that we are dealing with a situation where we have somebody that has allegedly committed a series, very serious crimes, and there's a lot of media and people trying to get attention right now. So just don't take everything with a grain of salt, right? Just like what you do with your crypto investment trading, when it's involving SBF, FTX, any of this news, just because you saw it on Twitter from some guy that has 20,000 or even 50,000 or a million followers doesn't mean it's a fact, right? Do your own, I'm not going to say research, I'm going to use my legal nerd word, do your own due diligence, right? Look into it. And if things don't add up, and they don't add up, and like I said, this is unconfirmed, but hopefully he is arrested. And hopefully the people arresting him are members of the DOJ and the SEC, and they get his ass extradited to the United States in custody, in handcuffs, and we put this man through the court system. Because, like I said, I know a lot of people have been hurt. I know that unfortunately, I know there were a lot of retail investors that were like new to the space and they were excited about crypto. We want that. I want that, right? I know if you guys are like me and you've been in crypto for a minute and you're a nerd about it, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, whatever, that's bullshit. Like, you're at Thanksgiving dinner and you're getting made fun of, or, no one understands it. And then something like FTX kind of comes along and gets the attention of the masses and people buy into it. They like it. It's easy to use. It's endorsed by all these big names, so people trust it. And then they put a lot of money in there, and then boom, what happens? Because of no regulation, because of no enforcement by our regulators, what happens? Wrecked. Some of these people I know out there have had like massive amounts of savings put on FTX, and I know guys and girls who were savvy and they did that because they trusted it. Like big names, like smart people way smarter than me, who got wrecked. So it's sad, and we shouldn't take it lightly. But justice will be served. I do believe that. And we will see some legislation. I do believe that. And I hope it's the Stablecoin Act. And I hope you love this video. That's 32 minutes of me talking and telling you my passionate spiel on these topics. I really look forward to talking to you guys next time. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really do. I put a lot of work into it. I really care about it. I really care about the space. I really care about you guys. And I really appreciate it if you found even a fractional reserve of value and utility, like a utility coin, in this video's content from a legal nerd, from the virtual lawyer, then please show me some love. I have 1 subscriber. Maybe you could be subscriber number 2. Hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, tell your friends about this, share it, and it goes without being said, but I'm gonna have to say it, all content, again, is my personal opinion. It's not legal advice. I am an attorney, but this channel is strictly for educational and informational purposes only. Always do your own due diligence when making financial decisions, and hire your own attorney to receive legal advice or legal services. I love you all. Stay blessed. I'm out.